Statement Begins is a derivative, non-canonical fan-made project derived from the Magnus archives, an original podcast which is created and distributed by Rusty Quill Limited. Statement Begins is not endorsed by Rusty Quill Limited, and the Magnus archives is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 international license. For more information about the original source material, visit www.rustyquill.com or use the !links command in our chat box. Content warnings. Statement Begins is not for children and includes inappropriate language and horror themes. Some additional content warnings for this mystery are maggots, meat factory imagery, suffocation, mentions of depersonalization, and non-distress / non-suicidal self-harm. Is it our pretty faces now?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you unmute yourself, Rory? On Streamlabs? Okay.
I did.
Cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Statement Begins. We are Tape Reel B, located again in the Usher Foundation. Say hi, Usher Foundation employees.
Hi.
Luckily, we got our tech work out, but please let us know in the chat if there are any issues. We also, I think, have some friends across the pond in Tape Reel A letting us know how our stream is holding up. We're going to start off this session with a little bit of a recap, partially because there's a lot of tech issues, partially because it's been 2 weeks since we last played. We started off our last episode by taking a look at everyone's morning before their first day at Usher. We saw Edith in her bare white apartment making coffee. We saw that Luca's mother stopped by for a little chat. We saw Cassius toss away a note from his father and run into a scrambling Dottie attempting to carry far too many boxes. And then all of our employees had met at the door of the building before exploring and meeting their other coworkers. And we were introduced to the very small staff of the Usher Foundation, which includes Merlot de la Cruz, the Institute head, also deemed sexy piano man by our players, Sofia De Lauro, his very lovely personal secretary, Zaim Khalid, the head of artifact storage, Killian Murphy, the very tall and intimidating head librarian, and the very grumpy, very unhelpful Julian de Dios, the Usher Foundation secretary. And after their first staff meeting, our research assistants, Dottie and Cassius, took down their first statement from Madeline Beck, who seems to be having some spooky encounters with a mannequin at her new job at Primrose Boutique. Meanwhile, Luca has been helping Zaim organize artifact storage, and Edith needs to throw a dinner party for some potential investors. And at the end of the session, Dottie and Cassius, who decided to stay late to prepare for field research that they will be doing today, had a little chat with Merlot and discovered a little bit about his personal life. Perhaps putting two and two together after learning that he is not married and keeps a photograph of him in a tender embrace with another man who neither Cassius nor Dottie recognize. But today is a new day, and I had you all roll a d20 at the end of last session. Are you excited to know why I had you roll the d20?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, we currently find ourselves in the wee hours of the morning in Cassius's apartment. Just before sunrise, the air outside is crisp, and only the moon and the streetlights are illuminating Cassius's bedroom. And he is fast asleep, twitching and sweating, and I wonder what he could possibly be dreaming of. Well, I'm going to let you know what he's dreaming of. Despite reality having some illumination, Cassius finds himself engulfed in darkness in this dream. You hear the sound of sand pouring, and you feel it rise as it encompasses your body. Though it doesn't feel suffocating. Instead, it feels consuming, as if this sand is meant to represent something more abstract that you can't quite work out. And as you feel the sand enter your mouth and eyes, like blinding you even more, you jolt awake in a cold sweat, and for a moment, you think you see something in the shadows of your room, but the sunlight quickly proves that there's nothing there. And that's Cassius's morning. We move back in time a little bit to the middle of the night over to Luca's apartment, where he is also sound asleep. And he is also twitching, particularly his legs, as if to suggest that in his sleep, he seems to be running away from something. And we do see that in his dream, Luca is indeed running away, though you are not entirely sure from what. You are scrambling down the aisles of a meat factory where skinned pigs and cows hang from conveyor belts as you slip on their blood and other unfamiliar liquids, and you hear the sound of a knife being sharpened on a metal slab. And you are desperately trying to find a place to hide that doesn't involve touching these animals' corpses, as you hear the sound of footsteps getting almost like inhumanly louder and louder. And in a brief moment that you take to catch your breath, you look up and come face to face with a butcher, and as the metallic scent of blood tickles your nose, you jolt awake with a lingering feeling of a butcher's knife along your neck. Dottie, on the other hand, dreams of being in a Nancy Drew book and finding all the clues and solving the mystery. And Cassius is there helping her, and so is Blackberry, who seems to just be following you two around. And you have a nice, peaceful dream. Nothing particularly interesting happens.
Yeah.
Edith is unmoving in her sleep and unmoving in her dream as you stand in the middle of a junkyard. Frozen in place as an unfamiliar man circles around you with a predatory smile, made up of inhumanly sharp teeth. His breath is hot and it smells like garbage. It's absolutely disgusting. But no matter how terrible his breath feels against your neck and how disgusting it smells, you do not move. You cannot move for whatever reason. He sets himself in front of you and pulls off his sunglasses that he was wearing that you didn't really notice he was wearing until he pulled them off right now. And you notice that where his eyes should be are just holes with piles of maggots and rotting skin. His rancid breath tickles your nose as he whispers, "Wake up." And your eyes open as you feel the warm sunlight of the morning hitting your face, though not without a moment of panic where you think that the warmth you feel as you wake up could possibly be the man from your dreams. But as you wake up, he's not there. You know it's a dream.
She is immediately going to go splash some cold water on her face.
As she should. Do we get what the D20s are for now? That's
it's for Nancy Drew fanfiction.
It's for Nancy Drew fanfiction. Every time you fall asleep, you will roll a D20 to see what you dream about. And the higher you roll, the more likely you are to have pleasant or even helpful dreams. But that is all of your mornings. Is there something you want to do before you head over to Usher for work?
I think Dottie definitely wakes up, grabs a journal labeled Nancy Drew number 17. And she opens the notebook to a blank page and writes down her Nancy Drew dream. And then I think closes it and probably so she lives in the guest house of an elderly couple, so she probably checks in, maybe drops by some baked goods on the way.
Cool. So she checks in with her elderly landlords, I suppose. Grabs a couple baked goods. On her way to work. Does anyone else want to bring something? I also want to ask if any of you are bringing vehicles of some sort with you, especially like Dottie, Cassius, Edith.
I'm riding the bus.
Okay.
Cassius has a car, but if he doesn't need to use it, they're more for like longer trips rather than in city trips.
Okay.
Luca's walking.
Cool. So you all take your own means of transportation over to Usher. And you walk in. Julian is not at the front desk. So
Obviously, why would he be?
He doesn't need to be. He's got to do something else, clearly.
Dottie thinks that he's purposefully not there to avoid her. She will
Rip
leave
Dottie.
a small baked good. There's a small baked good on the counter with a note that just says sorry.
Okay. Cool. Did you want to go anywhere?
Luca's gonna try to go get some of that coffee that Killian has. He's gotta figure out how this guy is making the coffee.
So you see that Killian actually walks in through the door behind you guys. Like a couple minutes behind you guys. So he hasn't not made coffee yet. But he's holding like a...
Luca's clearly gonna stalk him to figure out his coffee secret.
Okay. He's holding like a couple bouquets of flowers in his arms.
I want Cassius to hold the door open. You know how you hold the door open just too long? Like they're too far away, but you can't not hold the door open. So you're just like...
Yeah, he's doing that little jog.
Oh my...
He says, thank you. Thank you very much. Cassius.
Under his breath, he's like, oh my god, he knows my name.
What is... he doesn't hear you.